Good evening. I'm going to ask if y'all would stand, join on page 164 in your blue hymnal. I'm sorry, 64 in your blue hymnal. 64. He threw a curveball and I wasn't ready for it.
Um, let's go to Lord in prayer and appreciate. Got a lot of feedback here. It's all good. It's all good. As we go to Lord in prayer, I'm going to take some time tonight, since I'm going to be gone on Wednesday, and I'm going to reflect this evening. This is not a State of the Union address by no means, but more a year in reflection. And I'm going to take the time tonight to do that. I'm going to mention some things by name. Some of them are very joyous, and some of them are quite painful to remember. But I want to go down memory lane tonight, and I want you to go with me, and I'm going to have a good time. And sometimes we get so caught up in our day-to-day, and really, the Lord's been so good to us of late, and to me of late, that it's easy to forget about some other things that He's done for us. I mean, we as human beings tend to have a hard time understanding or contemplating history, or even understanding the world prior to the time that we were in it. But I think sometimes we get so caught up living in the now that it's hard for us to even go back just a little ways and think about how good it is. Yeah, any of y'all have short-term memory problems ever? You know, you can remember something that happened a long, long time ago, but maybe not able to remember what happened yesterday. So we can remember what God's done for us in years past, but tonight I want us to look back at 2018, and I want to think about what He's done for us this year. And so that's what we're going to do tonight. I'm probably going to squall a bit. Probably going to, ain't no telling. I don't know. May all just fall apart. I don't know. But let's go to Lord in prayer this evening. Anybody have an outspoken request, especially tonight? If I say anything this evening that embarrasses anybody, I don't mean to. I probably will. And if I leave out something that I shouldn't, I don't mean to, but I probably will. And so you just pray for the service tonight. Did I see a hand a minute ago? All right, y'all pray for me tomorrow night as we head down to head up to where is it? I said I'm going to be Faith Temple, and Brother Buddy Smith, the pastor up there. But we'll be preaching with Brother T.D. Burgess tomorrow night. And I was originally scheduled to be up there on Tuesday of this week, but they were kind enough to switch things around and let me go tomorrow. So remember that meeting, if you will. Of course, it's traveling this week. The Wednesday night service, remember that, and the service upcoming next week. If there are no outspoken requests this evening, let's go to the Lord in prayer. And Preacher Brady, how about you asking the Lord to bless this service tonight, if you don't mind, sir? Come on, brother.
I'm going to ask if you would one more time. Join me on page 144. 144 in your blue hymn.
said, I got an idea. I got an idea. So they're letting me just kind of run free with an idea tonight. That's a little scary. But I said, I got an idea. Let's have an all-women's choir. So, yay!
You said all.
All women choir. All ladies. All ladies.
And no one can see your song? They pushed me out of the aisle. Desiree's up here too. Hey, thanks. Nice to meet you guys. All right. We're going to do page 92.
Not you, mother. You're my mother. Come on. Get your book and come on. Come on.
She brought Judy in here. She brought Judy.
That's right. Bring Judy. There. All right, Nancy.
Precious blood's atoning, then I repent.
able to be here on Wednesday, and he didn't want to miss his opportunity, and I don't want him to either. And so he asked if he could take his opportunity tonight, and I said yes, absolutely. So, brother, you go for it.
Well, anytime I stand, I always want to be thankful to God for saving my soul. Thankful to Jesus for what he did to allow it to be possible. I just thank him for loving me enough to be willing to go and suffer so that he could make the way so that I wouldn't have to suffer. As y'all know, we got a shock this year back in June. And whenever you hear that word, you don't never really know what to think. You don't never really know what to expect. But I'm thankful to God that it was as minimal as it was. I'm thankful to God that he took care of it. And I'm thankful to God that what's going on now is only a precautionary thing. Because outside of salvation, the thing that I'm most thankful for is my wife. I don't want to grow old without her. In fact, I've made her promise that I will go first. And sometimes I think she's going to take me up on that promise, preacher. Don't give her no ideas, Brother Keith. But I'm grateful for what God is doing for her. I'm grateful that her last chemo treatment was this past Thursday. I'm looking forward to this chemo getting out of her system, and then all she'll have to deal with is the radiation. But, preacher, there was something I was thinking about a while ago that you made a comment this morning in your message when you was talking about getting, being numb. I have experienced numbness in my life. And it wasn't necessarily about Jesus or about God. But for those of you here who've known me for some time, I may not be exactly the same as I used to be. But there's things that has taken place in my life. There's things that have been taken away that left an empty feeling. And a lot of times when we have those feelings, it's how we respond to them as far as how we make it through them. A lot of folks, they tend to want to dwell on stuff, and it'll just bring them down. And it would be easy to. It would be easy to, and I guess that in that numbness, when it has affected me, I think it's took a little piece of me as well. And it's just took a little piece of being Jen. And I'm not saying that for any kind of pity or anything. But the fact of the matter is that in God's Word, he tells us that he will lay nothing on us more than we can bear. And in those times, we have to look to him. In those times, we have to trust him. We have to lean on him. And sometimes blotting things out is probably the answer. But I will never blot him out. I will never blot him out for what he's done for me. I will always be grateful. I will never be ashamed. I will never be ashamed of him. And I hope and pray that I live my life in a way to where he won't be ashamed of me. I am grateful for my church. I'm grateful for my church family. It's kind of like somebody said, I believe it was in the prayer room, it might have been Brother Zach, talking about how we're closer to church family than we are blood family. I know I am. I know I am. Y'all are easier to love than some of my family. Even you, Bradley. But I am grateful for this church that God's put me in. You know, when I came here, I was a newbie. And now since I've been here, we've had others come into our church. And now we're all one family. I'm grateful for the ones that was here. I'm grateful for the ones that was here before me. Even though a lot of them's gone now. I'm grateful for the ones that we have now. And I'm grateful for the ones that we're going to get.
I didn't even think about it.
I want to thank the Lord for saving me. I thank the Lord. I got saved at Mount Carmel Baptist Church when I was 8 years old at Vacation Bible School. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for this church and the opportunities that we have to serve here. I'm thankful for all the young people I get to teach in Sunday school. I'm thankful for my family, thankful for my husband and my children. And I'm thankful for that they've all been saved. And I'm thankful for my mom and dad and for them to be in church with me. And I'm thankful for all of you. We couldn't ask for a better place that God would send us to than here. Jonathan tells that story of when we came to Seagrove for him to preach at another church, and we're like, nope, that's too far. But when God sent us here, it wasn't quite too far anymore. And I'm thankful for that. I'm thankful for how God works things out, and He knows more than we know. Yeah. And He can see farther along than what we can, and I'm thankful for His guiding hand. I'm thankful for my health and all that the Lord does for our family. I'm thankful for my job, how God takes care of us. But most of all, I'm thankful for Lord saving me.
I'm thankful for the Lord saving me. I'm thankful for my family, and I'm glad I was saved at a younger age than I am now, so I can miss out on those struggles and opportunities to do bad. And I'm thankful for my family.
I want to thank the Lord for saving me and for my family and all my friends and my church family.
If I might as well say a word, I want to thank the
Smooth.
Lord. I want to thank the Lord for all He's done for me. And, well, I was a little older than she was when I got saved, but I thank God for getting in. You know, I like to miss it. I like just a little bit being 48 years old when God saved me. I reckon I'm right. I get mixed up in my numbers. I get mixed up in a lot of things nowadays, but I just thank God for what He's doing, and thank God for my church. I do know what church is. It's y'all folks. It's each and every one of y'all. I know preacher's going to probably talk about some of the fellas that's left us last year, but I thank God for each and every one, and I thank God for Judy putting up with me, and God's done so much for me over the last, since I got saved, and I don't know, preacher claims he's the meanest one, or was the meanest one. Well, I tell you one thing, I don't know. He wouldn't want to have to go up against me. I believe I would have went out. I don't know. So much I've done. Any things. Well, I don't know about the fisticuffs. I've never been a fighter. I think I stopped one guy after I got grown, but he needed it. But anyway, God's just good to me, and but I've done things that I wouldn't even tell you about, and most of the things I would admit it. But God's been so good to me, and He's helped me in everything, and what He's done in my life, the feelings I have for Him. People say you love God. Now I do love God. No doubt about how much I love God. He's in my heart. He moved right on in that Saturday, and I got saved. And I started telling folks before I ever left the church about what God had done for me. But I think God done that for me. He put that in my heart right away, and I just love Him for what He's doing for me. And He's still answering my prayers and everything. And I got a wonderful family, and a lot of them's in church with us here, and I just thank God for each and every one of them. I could hear him talk all night about the blessings I've had, which I've had my part of sickness too. God's brought me out of that, and I've been asleep for 10 days or longer at a time, and had some awful nightmares, but God still seen me through all of that, and God, He's just a wonderful, big God we got. Whew. And the reason I'm doing this, I don't know where I'll be here Wednesday or not. Don't ever know, preacher. I hadn't failed yet, but I've come mighty close to it. But when I get stretched out right here, y'all will know where I'm at, because I'm going to be at home with my Lord and Savior. And I just thank y'all for putting up with me. And I know I'm not perfect, and I hate to say amen, Judy. But, and all of y'all folks.
Psalm 100. I can remember this. I couldn't have been any more than in the 3rd grade, as best as my memory serves me, and I've always had a good memory. Now, tomorrow I may not remember my name. Tomorrow I may not remember who I am, and that's okay, but up till now I've always had a good memory, and I can remember lots and lots of things. But I remember many, many moons ago having a speaking part in a program at a church. I couldn't tell you the name of the church, don't remember any of that, but I had to quote Psalm 100. Now, I could have read it, but my grandma, who's in heaven, Pop's first wife, she didn't believe in reading nothing when it come to the Word of God. She believed in memorizing Scripture, and she memorized chapters and chapters and chapters of the Bible. She encouraged me when I first got into the ministry to memorize books of the Bible, and there were a couple books that I was able to quote at one time, and but she found out I had a part, and found out I had Psalm 100 in that program, and she said, "There's no way that you're going to get up there and read that. You're going to quote it." I'm going to read it to you right now, though. The Bible says, "Make a joyful noise unto the Lord, all ye lands. Serve the Lord with gladness. Come before His presence with singing. Know ye that the Lord, He is God. It is He that hath made us, and not we ourselves. We are His people, and the sheep of His pasture. Verse number 4 is what I want to focus on. Enter into his gates with thanksgiving, into his courts with praise. Be thankful unto him, and bless his name. For the Lord is good, his mercy is everlasting, and his truth endureth to all generations. Verse number 4 tells us to enter into his gates with thanksgiving. Listen to that first of all. And his courts with praise. Be thankful unto him. Bless his name. There are 3 directives there in that verse. Number 1 says, when you get into his gates, come with thanksgiving. Now, the gates represent entering into a city, entering into a location. And those locations were known to have gates. Back in those days, many cities, most cities, if it was a fortified city, it was going to be a walled city. And I'll spare you the history lesson that I'm want to get into. But you couldn't get into a place without going through the gates. That's where the magistrates were. That's where the politics took place. That's where the business was conducted, was there in the gates. Anybody that was anybody came through the gates. Did their business operating there at the gates. People would try to act dignified and reserved and proper when they came through the gates because everybody was looking. The Bible says to enter into his gates with thanksgiving. That when you come walking in, they ought to know which side you're on. When you come in these gates, don't come in and then start. Enter in with thanksgiving. Not just during the Thanksgiving season, but as a child of God, there should be no end of the Thanksgiving season. There ought to, in everything, give thanks, the Bible says. Everything. And we're going to look tonight at everything. I mean, we're going to look at some good, bad, and ugly. But then it says, after you're in the gates, it says, enter into his courts with praise. Now, I've been doing a lot of research lately and doing a lot of, poor Jennifer she's had her fill of history lately in archaeology, and thank God for YouTube and unlimited data plans. But I've lived in history courses, history lectures of late. One of the things I was looking at, and one of the things I learned here recently is they were looking at trying to find evidence that the Israelites were one-time slaves in Egypt. What is the evidence of a Semite people in Egyptian lands? And up around, the Bible says that the Israelites as slaves built the city of Ramses. Well, they didn't build the city of Ramses and call it Ramses. They built a previous city on that place, on that known place where Ramses was, called Avaris. Bible's right, don't get me wrong. They just built, at the time that it was recorded down, Ramses II had built a city there on top of the city that the Jews had built. Expanded that out. But Avaris was a city, and they discovered that as they began to excavate it, and they found that there was some archaeology that was strikingly different from typical Egyptian archaeology. The typical Egyptian structures was going to have 4 corners, an entrance, and that was pretty much it. They weren't nomadic. They weren't herdsmen. They didn't have cattle. They didn't have sheep. They didn't have things like that. But the Israelites had livestock. And Canaanite people had livestock. Canaanite people being people from the land of Canaan, from that part of the world. The Israelites, is what they did. The Bible tells us that Abraham was exactly that. He was a nomad. He went about. And he had flocks and things. He didn't run a farm. No offense to those of you farmers. Thank God I eat because of farmers. But they began to find structure after structure after structure that would have a house on the property, but then before the way that house was built is it was open in the front. You had private secluded rooms, but you had an open court. And you would have, here's the main court, main living space, and then you would have on each side, you would have walls that would extend out that would have rooms in them, but there in the middle you would have an open court. And your living room, if you will, was a living space. It was an open court. Your living room, where you ate, lived, sat around, watched TV, you did that out in the open air. and you went in to sleep. You cook outside, you do everything outside, you come in to sleep, and that was pretty much it, out of the elements. And they would have a courtyard, if you will, a court area. And if you look, that's exactly the way that the tabernacle was set up. You read the scriptures, that's the way the tabernacle, the temple was modeled after. Where you'd have a court. You go inside the walls, and there's the courtyard, and then you've got the building on the inside, where would be the Holy of Holies in the tabernacles, where the presence of God would dwell. The Shekinah glory of God would dwell there between the wings of the cherubim in that inner dwelling place, in that most holy place. Well, that's typical of what a Semite structure would look like, a home. You have that courtyard. The Bible says when you come into those courts, you come in with praise. It doesn't say come in and then praise, it says come in with praise. This is the courtyard right here. Now this right here, this is the altar down here. The closer we get to Him. Now I'm talking about as far as the altar is concerned. But you come into the courtyard here, you come in with praise. It's like I talked about this morning. You come in, that fella turned around, he started telling God how good he was. He started telling the Lord how, when you come into church, you come in. You live your life. You come through those gates, you come in with thanksgiving. You've already got it when you come in. When you come in here, you begin to praise. You have a thankful heart out there so you can praise in here. And thirdly, so you can bless His name. So you can bless His name. Jesus said if He was lifted up, He'd draw them in unto Him. And everything that we do in our lives ought to... For so many people, church is something we fit into our schedules. Our Christian lives is something that we make work when we can. Church is a part of our lives. But for us religious fanatics, church is our lives. Christ is our life. Church is not a place that I go to. The church is what I'm a part of. It's who I identify with. And it's where I find my meaning and my fulfillment. I go to work, and I love the fact that I have a job where, first of all, my church allows me to work. I find fulfillment in it. Some days it makes me happy. Some days it don't. ...2018 has been one of the sweetest years that I've ever had in my life. I turned 40 this year and suffered extreme embarrassment down here in the fellowship hall with my friends and family. I got a bag full of gag gifts, pill boxes, medicines, ointments and creams that laughed at just back in May, and now I'm going, where is that bag? I pick around with Nathan at times, and I use a phrase. If he come in and had a good day or he did something, well, you increased your lands. It's a medieval term. If you politicked well, you fought well in battle, you determined your success as to whether or not you increased your lands, if you were a landowner. And 2018 has definitely been a year where we've increased our lands. That may not mean anything to you, but, well, I'm a heathen. It means something to me. But I guess if you're going to gain something, you got to lose something too. I don't know why. But the Lord giveth, and He takes away. And as sweet as the gains are this year, the losses have been rough. I learned this year how God can give peace better than I've ever seen it in a time of loss. As I sat with Brother Jack this year, before he went home to be with the Lord, I've been by the bedside of folks before they depart this life on many occasions, but I don't think any ever sweeter than that one right there. Is Mabe here tonight? Mabe's not here, is he? All right, I can talk about him. But Mabe sat with me that night and said to me and him and Brother Jack just had the sweetest time. And then just a short while later, I lost a deacon, and that was the hardest thing, one of the hardest things that I never want to go through again. You see, my deacons, they hold me up. These fellas here, you know how sometimes on Sunday mornings I'm pretty stern and I'm the tough guy and I'm the mean, tough preacher that says, bless God, my deacons better do. What you don't see is when I go and cry on their shoulder. What you don't see is when they're the ones holding me up, propping me up. And then I come out here and I show them that kind of thanks and appreciation by preaching hard to them. I miss Reese May. He set me straight. He made me think before I did something too. I needed me a bracelet. What would Reese do? Some of y'all's told me a lot lately what he'd do. He'd tell me quit apologizing. I'll tell you what I'd tell him. I'm sorry. I never knew Superman to get sick. But he had that attention getter heart attack, and it got all our attention, and it kept it. I got more to go to heaven for than I did last year. I'd never lost a deacon before. My pastor had, but I hadn't. My pastor used to hear everybody say, I used to hear people brag all the time, Jeff Lamb had the best deacons in the whole wide world. And Jeff Lamb went to heaven before he found out what good ones really were. Sorry, they were great. His were great. And mine aren't great because they're mine. Mine are great because they're great. And they're not my deacons, they're your deacons. But we've had some trials too. Oh man, we've had some trials. You're going to have to bear with me. If you get bored, it's all right. I'm sorry. I ain't trying to put you to sleep. But there's been a lot of surgeries and hospital stays this year. It started out, first part of the year, I was, woo, this is pretty smooth. Brother Dave, we're going to make it the whole year. And about March, boy, something started going wrong. It's going to be smooth sailing. Uh-oh. But it's all right. God's good. Poor old Brody, been praying for him for so long to get some relief, or at least get some answers. And I guess we know about as much now as we did when we started. But Brother Brody, Brother Randy got him another hip. He's good to go now. He's ready to go play softball, I reckon. Ain't none of y'all asked us to go play, though. Brother Mitchell, God sure has taken care of my deacon. I'm going to talk about my deacon in a minute. But we had some scary moments there along the way. Miss Linda, there it is again. She's had, I don't know, what, 60, 70 surgeries? What, 16, 17? She'd come in here every now and then. She'd say, Preacher, I got another report. I'm still cancer-free. I'm cancer-free, cancer-free. But she's had a couple scares, had some surgeries. Had another this year. She's on the mend now. And I don't think I've ever been happier than to hear you get up there, and I ain't trying to pick on you, but miss that note the other month. I don't mean that in a bad way. But that's a lot better than not ever being able to sing again. I don't know if my piano player is watching or not, but she is the pride and joy of New Center Christian Church. And my preacher always said, and they teach at Bible college, you be strong in front of your people. You be strong in front of your people. So I started to hear rumors that Miss Vicky was having some sort of a problem. And so I puffed my chest out and I manned up and swallowed hard. What's going on? And I began to be told, and found out what was going on, and not making no big deal out of it. She'll whoop me if I do. So I said, all right, be strong about it. And in front of her, I have been. In front of you, I have been. But in my prayer closet, it had worried me to no end. Our music makes New Center Christian Church what it is. It does. I know where my bread's buttered. And it's in that piano player and these musicians and these singers. I know that, no doubt. And my piano player makes up for a lot of bad preaching. And I'm thankful that the Lord has looked after her. Talk about trials. We had a difficult one here a few months ago. And that was the first for me directly. Now, I had seen things similar to that dealt with over time, but in other places, and I got a lot of advice from other people. But let me tell you something. That one had me ruined. I mean, I just knew church was split. I was done. I was going to be gone looking for me another church, Miss Judy. I'm not talking about the pastor. I mean just looking where somebody'd let me go and be a member after what we was going to have to deal with. And I worried about it, and I struggled with it, and it ended up being one of the most peaceful things that I've ever had to deal with in the ministry. And now I will say I don't want to ever deal with it again, but I'm thankful for a church that stood with us and stood together, and we did what we had to do, what was necessary, but what we didn't want to do. And I appreciate people that would be willing to do that. I ain't trying to whine, but my back hurts. It don't sound like much of a testimony, but I'm going to finish it. I got in less than 400 miles this year on my bicycle. Big deal, right? 400 miles, a lot of miles to some people. I'm used to 5,000 to 7,000 a year. And now last year it was a little less than that. But this year about 400 miles, or a little less than 400 miles. It's been a struggle for me. About 15 minutes is the longest that I can make it right now. That's a long ways from 5-6 hours nonstop. And the nice thing about it, though, is the kids have really been looking after me. I mean, it's been nice. My little girl and my little boy. My wife says, suck it up. Come home. The doctor said, don't take anything. You need to be taking this, this, and this. Don't take anything. She says, you need to take some suck it up. I appreciate that advice because I whine a lot. Nobody hears it but her. But I appreciate it. I do. Kids have taken care of their daddy this year more than ever. I mean, they've treated me with kid gloves. It's pathetic, but they have. I hear a lot, are you okay? Are you okay? And it's embarrassing, but it's a blessing to have people that look after you and care for you. I'm thankful for the new arrivals this year. You know, the only thing scarier than a church shrinking is a church growing. As a pastor, I love growth and I want growth. I want us to grow, but I want us to grow the right way, certainly. And I want controlled growth. And the one thing that scares me is rapid growth. And we went through a space a few months ago, and it lasted several months where people started coming. And they kept coming. And other people started coming. And I don't know about y'all, but it was kind of making me a little nervous. Now, in full disclosure, we have found out they're good people. Some of them about half as strange as what we already got here. But they good people. Rapid growth. You see, I'm scared of rapid growth, but God's not. And while I'm afraid of, look, don't take this wrong. While I might be afraid of what comes in, not who comes in, but what the people might bring in with them. Look, I'm not going to compromise on my Bible. And if you do, one of us is going to have to leave. And it's contrary to what is said, it is easier for y'all to find another pastor than for every one of y'all to find another place to go to church. But I ain't changing that. And folks, I want to grow, but the last thing I want to do is compromise in order to grow or compromise as a result of growth. And it scares me. So I pray and I pray and so I thank God for rapid growth, which normally terrifies me because it's been growth that the Lord has sent and controlled in His way. He can handle expansion a lot better than I can. And along with that, send us new talent. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, you missed this morning. New initiatives. Oh my. I'll just say this real quick. We are well equipped to do pretty much whatever we want to do. I don't mean that in a bragging way at us. I'm talking God has just blessed us. We are in a position where we can do pretty much whatever God lays it on our hearts to do. We have the facilities, we have the structure, we have the technology, and I know that I'm a technology person, but now we've kept certain things out of the sanctuary, and certain things we will always keep out of the sanctuary on a permanent basis. But we have the ability to do pretty much whatever we need to do. That's not something we've always had, but it's something I'm thankful for. We've got new initiatives going on. I mean, there's all kinds of things going on, and because of that, we've got new adventures. Now listen to this. I'm thankful that I have fewer Mondays than I've ever had before. All right. I love my deacons. I do, and I lean on them hard. I try to lean on them for church matters. I try to lean on them for the things that I have to lean on them for, and I try to lean on my wife and my kids for everything else, but it don't work. And I need somebody else, and so God gave me others too to look after me. I have Mondays, and y'all don't know what Mondays are, but I have Mondays are for preachers. A lot of times you preach your heart out. Singers may deal with it too. You preach your heart out on Mondays. You give on Sundays you give everything that you possibly have, and then after you're done, you just drained, empty. I mean, just empty. And so I have depression on Mondays. I mean, you just get up and you just cry. Just cry. You feel miserable. I mean, it might have been 7, 8 people get saved the day before, and you just still feel that way. I used to look at my preacher and I used to go, what in the world is wrong with you? Now I'm going, I know what you was going through. I learned the hard way, brother. And it's hard to explain, but it's very real. It's very, very real. But God's put people in my life more than ever to help make sure. And God gave them a heart for it because they know what I go through. And while there is a balance between suck it up and we're here for you, it's a perfect blend. I don't get babied, but I don't get bullied. Are you with me? And I'm thankful. I'm not calling you bully. I mean, bully, babied. I may get to be here on Wednesday night after all. She's going to go to Florida without me. I got to go to Argentina this year. That was cool. I rubberneck the whole way when I'm in a plane. I look out to this day. I'm in the same flight. I fell asleep this past week on the way home, but I was tired. I look out the window. I always get a window seat, and it's easy for me to get the seat I want on a plane because apparently nobody else in the country wants a window seat. Everybody wants an aisle so they have more room. I like being able to look out. I'll get where I'm going and my eyes are like this. I mean, I can fly over now. When I fly from Lexington or from Charlotte to Lexington or Lexington to Charlotte, I know about what time we're going to fly over Grandfather Mountain. I mean, you can see the bridge most of the time. Flew back from San Francisco to New York to Charlotte, and I could tell we were getting close because I could look down and I could make out Gatlinburg and Pigeon Forge. We flew right. I mean, I could just see. That's what I do. I know. I'm a dork. I know these kinds of things. Got to fly to Argentina. I flew to Miami. I left Miami. I flew over Cuba. I wanted to spit at the Castros, but I couldn't get the window open. And flew over. I saw the Gulf Coast. I'd never seen. Well, I'd seen parts of it, just a glimpse of it. But I saw Central America. I saw South America. I mean, I tell you all these. I saw where and I love history, so I saw where the Mayans were. I saw where I could see lands where the Aztecs were, and the Inca. I couldn't see where the Incas were; it was too far. But I could see where Machu Picchu was. I could see the desert of Peru and Chile, and we flew in there, and I saw those mountains where the rugby team back in the 70s. Remember when they crashed and started eating each other? Sorry. That's how I described the Andes Mountain. I got to see those. It was so cool. Got to see people swimming in alligator-infested waters. That was dumb, but they did. See, up here they got lawyers that litigate and put signs everywhere. They just, I see some cool stuff. Made it back. It was a blessing. About that same time that I had to go to Argentina, went to, we got back, got in the building. This building has been a blessing. So who was it? Somebody said it a while back that they were here before. Oh, James and Starla Dean. They were here before we expanded. They're here since we expanded. It's a lot bigger, but it still feels like home. We were scared to death of that. We were all terrified of it. I mean, me and my leadership, we want to build, we want to make more room, but we want to keep New Center. We want to keep the closeness, the relationship, the close-knit family feeling. People were used to sitting in the balcony. That's one leg on somebody else's lap. And then now we got room to spread out. We didn't have a whole lot of room to spread out this morning, but we had room to spread, and we were so afraid that we were going to come into a half-empty building and that it was going to take forever to grow and fill up into, and that we were going to be so spread out we'd lose the closeness and the family unit that we were. But it didn't turn out to be the case at all. I miss the fellowship hall. Not enough to go back, but I miss the fellowship hall. I still think I want to have one service a year in the fellowship hall as a reminder of what God did for us. I've been told it's logistically hard to do, and that is exactly right. But for whatever reason, I just think it's neat. The children of Israel lived in tents once a year to remind them of Egypt's land, and are being brought out and living in the wilderness for 40 years. I think we have one at least Sunday night service once a year down there. And I can probably get by with it if I'll set it up and take it down all by myself. But there is a new coffee maker down there. If you plug that up, it might be incentive for some of you to go now. I need to write that down. Thank God for the new coffee maker. Coffee pot. I'll do that in a little bit. Let's see. I did get a new deacon. I love the deacon that went to heaven, but I love the new deacon that I have as well. You know what made it easy? The deacon selection process for that one? The one that whose spot he replaced, whose spot he filled, had previously said that's the man for the job. That sure does make it easy. Now, we didn't do it off of Reese Mabe's word, but we had that to go on, and that was good advice, good counsel. I got new friends, and for somebody that grew up not having any, that sure does make a difference. I'm thankful for my friends. We've got to have revival at Dover this year. That was not only a big moment for me, but that was a turning point for our church, and I'm going to talk about in a minute. Remember, was it last year we went to Asbury or year before we went to Asbury? Year before last. If y'all remember, when we came back from Asbury 2 years ago, apparently, revival broke out here when we got back from Asbury. This year, when we got back from Dover, revival broke out here. Y'all may want to send me off every now and then. Just let me come home. But that's what happened. I mean, we went out there and I preached a few nights. We had a young lady saved, and what a blessing that was. But y'all stayed through the whole week. You supported that whole meeting. And then we come home, and God blessed your faithfulness there at home. I mean, we went and supported their revival meeting, and God gave us revival. I'm not saying He didn't give them revival, but He gave it to us. And I don't know if you've realized this or not, but we're still in it. It's not over yet. It hasn't ended. You may feel like it has, and maybe it has for you, but for our church, I'm telling you, it hasn't. There has been amazing things happening here of late, but we had revival here. It started there, and here's when it really broke loose. There was something. Excuse me. There was something going on. We were praying. We being just a small select few, really one family, praying for one thing, one person. God delivered that person almost miraculously to this place on a particular Sunday morning. Preacher, I want details. I'm not at liberty to give those details. But that morning, I got some men together. Was it before church, before Sunday school? It was after Sunday school. I got some men, just the quickest men, just the closest men I could find. Got them together. We actually went outside, then we went down to the fellowship hall so I would have privacy. I told them, I didn't tell them who. I said, somebody's here that's been being prayed for. There's somebody, and they're lost. We want to get them saved. Y'all pray. I'm going to preach my heart out this morning. Going to preach Jesus crucified, buried, risen, and coming again. Going to try to get some folks saved this morning. Going to try to get one. And I had one in mind. These men that I asked to pray got burdened. And if I understand correctly, after the offering, was it after the offering? After the offering was taken up, when y'all were shaking hands, some of the men went outside, went around to the back of the church. Parenthetical. Somebody went to see Charles Spurgeon one time and asked him, said, how are you able to preach with such power? And he said, follow me. And they took him down. He took him down to the basement and took him down to a room underneath the basement, or down in the basement, right under the pulpit, right under the platform where Brother Spurgeon preached from. And he opened it up and he said, right here, my men gather while I'm preaching. And they pray the whole time I'm preaching. Y'all that went up to the Burlington revival, during the Burlington revival and during the revival up in Bristol, there was men underneath. And I'm not saying that women can't pray. I'm just telling you what it was. There was men underneath the platform. I don't mean back behind. I mean underneath the platform, praying while those meetings were going on. These men got burdened. And they went around back and they started looking, and if their wives wouldn't have got mad at them for having their church clothes on, they was going to get under the church. I don't know if you've been under there. Lee's been under there. Yeah, it's a place to go pray. Or it's a place to pray when you're under there, but it ain't a place to go and pray. So they stayed out back behind the cross back there, and they prayed while preaching was going on. And that person that we was praying for didn't get saved that morning. But I found out 2 weeks later, 2 weeks and a Wednesday later, that there was a young man that's sitting over there. And he came down here that morning to this altar over here on this side of the piano. He told me on a Wednesday night, he said, preacher, I didn't need nobody to pray with me. I didn't need nobody to tell me what to do. He said, I knew just what I needed to do and just how to do it. He said, preacher, I knelt down over there and I got saved. He said, and I know it. I got saved. Now, he's been working on Sundays the last while. Out of town. I mean out of state. And he's planning on telling y'all all about it when he gets back. But that's when it broke loose. That Sunday night, Brother Alton and the swordsman come. The 5th Sunday night, and was it September? They came. That was the day that things broke loose around here. While they're singing, the Brysons got up and walked out. I thought one of them was getting a whipping. I did. I'm not spiritual at all. When you see a young person get up and go out of church crying, what do you think? Hey, I've been there, done that. Come to the door there, they're singing. Go through there. Oh my goodness, he must have got it bad. Boy, I go out there. Eli's a squalling. Mama's crying. Daddy's crying. What in the world's going on? Which one of y'all got in trouble? How bad was it? That little boy went out there, sat down with his mama, and later his daddy, and he was under conviction so bad, he was wanting to get saved. I didn't deal with what was going on in here. Zach just got up and took care of the service, and thank God he did. And I was out there not doing much of nothing but watching that little boy get saved. I mean, God done all the work out there. All I did was just walk out there and pray with the boy. I'm worthless. That little boy done got, I mean, God done it all. I mean, there and it just broke loose from there. Next thing you know, Brother Mike's over there getting saved. You still saved, brother? Woo! 62, 1. 63 next week. I guess it's 62 then. Amen. Hey, from 21 to 10 to 62 in 2.5 weeks. This young man, the other Sunday morning, he's been back. Oh, let me tell you. Old Tyler come and got saved the other morning. Oh, that was sweet. Oh, that was sweet. Now, it's just been going and going and going. And I don't know about you, but I ain't ready for it to quit. People's getting saved. And that's like saying sick them to a bulldog. I mean, that's just it. I mean, I just want, preacher, I'm not unthankful for the ones that got saved, but I'm just looking for the next one. I am just looking for the next one. We've had more people saved in the last, since the 5th Sunday in September to this point, than we had the whole rest of the year together. And I'm not saying anybody's been lazy, sorry, or I've been preaching poorly or not, but I probably have. But God's just opened up the bucket and took his knife and punched holes all in the bucket and just got it out as quick as he could all over us. And I'm loving every minute of it. It's wonderful. It's great. and not only that, but as a result, so let me tell you how that started. That's a soul winners revival. Somebody got a burden for a family member. Got them here. That person hadn't got saved yet. Hold on. So you still need to be praying about that one. That could be the next one. Could be the next one. But while somebody started getting a burden, somebody started praying, and these others started doing the same thing, it became their burden. God started saving them on this side, on that side, over here. I mean, everywhere. It's a blessing. A soul winners revival. We got a new network. I'm sorry. I like technology. We got a new network. Not just a decent network. We got a great one, too. I mean, we got one that'll feed us through. I mean, if we want to do whatever, I'll be careful about saying what we could do, because somebody will be thinking, oh, what has he got in his head? And I don't want to get anybody any heart palpitations tonight. But I appreciate Drew and Jesse volunteering and doing all that work, and what a blessing that was. And this year's been incredible. Nathan's gotten taller than me. I'm getting his hand-me-ups now. And that's something when you tell your son, don't ruin that shirt when you get done with it, I want it. 13 years old. We ain't got to worry about that about shoes. He's got clown shoes on. They're so big. We got new members. New members. What a blessing. I'm looking around at the new members. Some of them, it took me a while to get them joined in. Hey, but that morning we had a time. Whew, we had a time that morning. New life in old members. You think about that. New life in old members. I know you're bored out of your mind. Oh, it's simple. I didn't realize what time it is. I got to quit. I'm so sorry. I am so sorry. Let me hurry. New salvations, we already talked about that. Some are back in action. You know what? It's one thing to get knocked down, but it's the worst thing to stay down. It's good to get back up and get back at it. It's new giving. I don't talk about money. Y'all know that. I think one of the biggest offerings we've had all year was the fifth Sunday, and the last fifth Sunday we had, and I was supposed to build it up. My men and my Jamie back there said, build it up, preacher, you need to build it. And the service was such that I didn't have time to deal with that. I couldn't. It just wasn't the right thing to do. God gave us a great... And look, and what's wonderful is we're not... I don't know who gives. I don't. The only thing I'll ever do, I'll ask if a deacon gives before we bring him on. I have the right to do that. Person in leadership, I got a right to that. And if a young man or a preacher is going out to pastor, I'll ask if he'll tithe. If he ain't going to tithe at his own church, he don't deserve to lead another. Thank you, brother. Thank you. But apart from that, I don't ask who's giving. I don't know who's giving. I don't go in that room while there's money out on the table. I don't. But from what I've been told, there's more given than ever before. And not more given a lot, but more just given, period. And I'd a whole lot rather have a lot given a little than a few given a lot. We ain't beholden to nobody. Don't get me wrong, I'm thankful for our bigger givers and our smaller givers, and I don't know who or what they are, or if we even got big givers and small givers. I don't know. I just know we have more. That's all I was told, the word more. And I'm thankful for that. That's what makes a healthy church. That and over 35 members in the choir this morning. Did you hear what I just said? That's called a blessing. And I don't know if you know and it might get on your nerves, and if it does, revival can happen to you. But when these little ones get up here, now sometimes I get in the flesh and go, I wish they wouldn't get up and down so much. But then they look at me and smile so big, and my heart just melts. Now sometimes they get to swaying a little bit. And I'm thinking, that ain't the Holy Ghost that's got them. And then they look over at me and smile real big. And my heart just melts. But you know what I'd a whole lot rather have? That one up here snuggled up to somebody singing, "Oh, how I love Jesus," than sitting beside of some backslidden pew holder that ain't got no much as a holy grunt in them. I'd a whole lot rather them stand up here and learn how to worship than to sit still and learn how to gripe and complain. Hey, if they get down and come up, that's all right. If they fall down, glory to God, she fell down this morning, she got back up, and she went back to... And I thought, hallelujah, she didn't stay down. And looked over at me. Woo! It made my day. Made my day. Listen, you afraid of embarrassing yourself doing something for God? Get up and do it anyhow. Hey, it made my day. I've had a time. We had a ladies' choir tonight. That was a blessing. It wasn't even Father's Day. And you didn't sing Faith of Our Fathers either. That was good all account. Oh, Lord have mercy. I'm sorry about that. Where's Chloe? Chloe, she's smiling, so I'll say this real quick. Chloe started singing solo. That's good. That's good. I mean, it's all right if you still come up and stand with her. I don't mind a bit. You can even sing a little bit if you need to, but just she started singing. That's a blessing. That's a blessing. And all the little kids that love the preacher. I'm done. But this is just a blessing to me. See, I started out in youth ministry. Now, some people say that That's a good place to start. No, it's a good place to stay as well. It is. And I was fine with staying in that ministry. Now, I got moved out of that ministry, and I will never call that a promotion. I got moved out of that ministry because my pastor had severe health problems, and I had to step in and do a different job for him. But that's always been my heart. It has. I love the little kids. The little kids, you know, the ones about this age, all the way down to the ones that boy this morning, he asked me after service. That one that's sleeping there getting his head rubbed. Let me tell you this. We was out here after play practice, and that boy asked me, he said, "Preacher, are you going to answer my question next week?" Next week's not the first Sunday night. But I said, "Well, no, I was going a couple weeks down the road here still." And he said, "You better get to studying." My hand to God, he said that. You better get to studying. I love it. I love it. I love it. This morning, I had one this morning. She's always been a little apprehensive of me, and that's all right. I understand that. I got the face only a mother could love from a distance. But she come up to me, run all the way around across the church, come right where I was, just stood right in front of me and smiled real big. Shook my hand 3 times. Hey, it makes my day. This morning, I had somebody, and I love it. I keep every paper, every little drawing. "Preacher, this is for you. Preacher, this is for you. Preacher, this is for you." Beautiful portraits of me. I got one not too long ago. Miss Abigail made me one. It was so beautiful. It was so beautiful. It was a picture of me, and it was revealing, gorgeous. I'm telling you, I didn't know I looked so good. But I love it. I love it. I love it. And you know why that's the case? Because y'all hadn't gone home and ran me plumb into the ground. Hey, if you go home and have roast preacher, them youngins will hear it, and they won't want nothing to do with that old mean man. You thought I was heading in a different direction, but I had to take it back to you. And I tell you, thank you. I really do. Sometimes we sit at breakfast, sometimes we sit at lunch, and we hear people badmouth the preacher. We do. I mean, they're giving him a hard time, and he ain't even got the day started yet. He ain't even had a chance yet. And they already trashing him. Listen, if you do that, I sure am glad you don't do it where anybody can hear it. I'm thankful for you. I love my Bible. I told the ladies this morning, but I'll tell you again tonight, I've never had a red Bible before, and you got me the very best one that's ever been made on the planet, I believe. The softest thing. I wouldn't rub my greasy face up against it, but I love how soft it feels. You let me try to grow a beard and didn't run me off. I got under conviction and let the cat lick it off, but is it still throwing up hairballs? Hey, but let's go home. But I'm going to tell you this. I don't care how bad you've had it this year. You can walk away being thankful. You can. Paul said, "I'm a winner either way." If he said, "For me to live is Christ and die is gain." That's what he was saying. I'm a winner either way. If I go to heaven, whoo, graduation day. But if I stay, I got him. Hold on. And he gave me you. And I cannot physically shake hands with the Lord. I can't physically get a hug from the Lord. That's why he gave me you. I can't physically, verbally get a word of encouragement from the Lord. So he gave me you. I could have the meanest, nastiest church around that let me be their pastor. But he gave me you. If I ain't told you lately, I love you. I'm scared to death of letting you down. Scared to death of making a mistake. Scared to death of ruining a testimony. Ruin this church's testimony. Jamie's got a record. All the great things that's going on at this church over the years. I don't want to build a legacy, but I don't want to tear one down either. I don't. And it terrifies me to no end. And if there's ever been a pastor that's been inadequate, feelings of inferiority, you got him right here. Y'all fuss at me for saying I'm sorry a lot, but I'm sorry a lot. I still don't know what I'm doing. I don't know how to pastor a church. I don't know how to deal with problems. I don't. My preacher taught me one thing. Get up there and preach, boy. That's what he taught me. And I don't do that well, but that's what he taught me to do. He didn't teach me to do it badly. He did the best he could. Just didn't have much to work with. But I love you, and I'm thankful for you. Hey, when you get here on Wednesday night, we don't record that service. We don't broadcast it. But we do have the ability, since I'm going to be gone, I'm going to spoil it rotten, okay? And you can say no. But if y'all would let me, I want to leave the service on a private stream. That means it'll not be out on YouTube. It won't be on Facebook. It won't be on the church website. But it'll be a private stream, and I can log into it. And it'll allow me and Jennifer and Nathan and Reagan to at least be a part of the service. If you'd allow us to do that. If not, perfectly fine. That means you need to use a microphone and stuff, though. If you don't, that's okay. That's okay. I'll miss you. It's a service that I instituted and brought it here as far as the type of service. I love it. Somebody said, we'll move it to Sunday night, move it to tonight. I kind of did for me, and I have taken tons of time. Brother Donnie's the only other one that's long-winded around here. So y'all will get done at a decent hour since I got mine out tonight, all right? Let's pray and be dismissed. Brother Todd, I sure am thankful for you, my brother. I'm glad you're here on time. So I told that they've been all over the place. They came. Brother David, they didn't make it one night. They had just joined. That Sunday night, they didn't make it back. They had to go sing somewhere, and they looked on the website and saw that service started at 7, and service starts at 6, so the website was wrong. And that was all my fault. And they said, I embarrassed them to death. So, brother, you dismiss us in prayer.